Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. There was once a king who was riding down a road in his kingdom, and he saw two men sitting and arguing with each other. And one said, "To whom the king gives, he becomes wealthy." And the second one said, "No, to whom God gives, he becomes wealthy." The king went back to his palace, and he had a large loaf of bread made. And inside the loaf of bread, he put jewels that were worth an enormous amount of money in it. And as he rode by where the two men were arguing, they were still at it. One was saying, "To whom the king gives, he becomes wealthy." The second one was saying, "To whom God gives, he becomes wealthy." And the king took the loaf of bread and gave it to the man who said, "To the one the king gives, he becomes wealthy." The next day, he rode by again, and he saw there was only one man there. And it was the man who said, "To whom the king gives, he becomes wealthy." The one who said, "The one who God gives becomes wealthy," wasn't there. And the king stopped and asked the man what occurred with the loaf of bread he had yesterday. He said, "Well, it looked like a big loaf of bread. It was too much for me, and it looked like it was underdone. So I sold it to the other man for 10 cents. And he took it home, and I haven't seen him since." Well, it turns out the one who took it home gave it to his wife. She opened it up, and she saw the treasure inside. They left the area and bought a home and were able to take care of himself. The king told the man who said, "The one to whom the king gives becomes wealthy," what he had done and what had happened. And he explained to him, "You now understand that you must always say, 'To the one who God gives, he is the one who becomes wealthy.'" God decides everything. Man will always have another opinion. Man will always think that something else can take care of him. Something else will fulfill his needs. Something else will be what he needs. But in truth, it's always the same thing. It's always Allah. It's always Allah that we need. It's always Allah who takes care of things. It's always Allah who is the doer, the shaker, the one who allows things to happen. Allah is the one who is in control of everything. And Allah is the one who makes us recognize that we must become appropriate, who makes us recognize that we must do the right thing, who makes us understand that there is evil and there is good, and that we must find what is good and we have to do what is good. If we sit and meditate, sometimes it may seem like there's this huge mountain in front of us that is impossible to cross and impossible to get around. But if we reach the state of wisdom, if we see things with clarity, we can then find that this mountain will break open and a clear path will establish itself for us. A clear path to take us to truth, a clear path to take us to reality, a clear path that will explain to us everything that has been a mystery to us. It's only in this way that we can truly become ones who know the truth. In order to enter into a state of wisdom, in order to begin to understand wisdom, we have to do some work. We have to do something in order to develop that within us so that it grows. And what we have to do is absorb Allah's sounds. We have to absorb Allah's qualities. We have to absorb Allah's actions. And as we become conversant with his sounds and his qualities and his actions, wisdom will dawn with us. And then decision-making becomes easy. Then clarity enters into our lives. And before we get to that stage, clarity will not enter into our lives. We will live in the midst of confusion. It's only when we are within wisdom that we can make clear decisions that have no complications. There is night and there is day. The daytime is when we are within the realm of wisdom, when we have somehow lost our attachment to torpor, to lust, to needs, to attachments, to all of the things that are given to us by the world. There are moments of clarity when we lose these attachments. In those moments of clarity, we must become cognizant of the difference between that time and the time that we are under the influence of attachment, when we're under the influence of lust, when we're under the influence of the various needs that we have that drive us to distraction, that drive us to concentrate on the things that we think we need as opposed to our Lord. We have come here, and this place that we are in is a school. Yet we have lost sight of the fact that it's a school. For many of us, it has become a place where we need to get titles, or we need to get women, or we need to get real estate, or we need to get honors, or we need to get the things from this world. And we are not here to collect the things from this world. We're here to learn about birth and death. We're here to learn about what is man and what is animal. We're here to learn about what is right and what is wrong. We're here to learn about what is evil and what is good. We're here to learn about the qualities that belong to our Lord. And if we truly engage ourselves in what this school is set up to teach us, then we will find the straight path. We will find guidance to take us through that rocky mountain that is impossible to cross and can only be gone through by shearing it in half. And the only thing that can shear it in half is wisdom. So we have to obtain wisdom. And we obtain wisdom by going through the various grades in this school of understanding Allah's creation, in this school of understanding our creation, in this school of understanding who we are, in this school of understanding why we were created, in this school of understanding ourselves and understanding everybody else in this school where we must discover unity. Man has this tendency to complicate everything, to take things beyond what is the apparent answer to things. And the more we complicate things, the further we get away from the truth. God is one is the initial understanding. It's in all the religions. It's the first commandment in Judaism and in Christianity. It's the kalima within Islam. La ilaha illallah. Only God exists. And there is a unity within that, and nothing else exists. But because man can't understand that, what has happened? We've filled libraries with books about the nature of existence. We've filled libraries with books about the obligations of man. We filled libraries with books trying to explain God and trying to explain correct behavior. But if we understood the unity in existence, if we understood the unity that exists between man and God, and that all of creation is part of that unity, and that everything we see is a reflection of our Lord and a proof of our Lord, then we can begin to make headway. But as long as we stay on the periphery and spend our time learning about religion, learning about languages, learning about sects, learning about colors, and learning about differences, we bring ourselves further and further and further away from the truth. Now, it is very easy to get caught up in all of the religious texts. It's very easy to spend a lifetime studying these texts and giving commentary on these texts. You become a religious scholar or a religious lawyer, and you find all of the little things that you can discuss. And there are thousands of things that can be discussed. But can you abandon all of them? Can you abandon all of these small, petty explanations about truth and focus in on the one reality? Can you focus in on Allah and make that which is at the forefront of your consciousness and make yourself into a true believer? Can you have faith in that knowledge? And how strong can your faith be? It is said that patience is the umbrella of God's throne. And through patience, we are able to wait out the periods of discontent. We are able to wait out the periods of doubt. We are able to wait out the periods when nothing seems to be coming to us as an answer to our dilemma. But we've all lived for many years, and we've all noticed that the dilemmas fade and new dilemmas come and take their places. And we have to have the patience to go through all these. It's something like trains in a station. They leave off and they take on, they go to the next stop, and they leave off and they take on and they go to the next stop, and they leave off and they take on. Our mind is like that. But we must get to the point where we stop taking on and start discarding, where we carry less and less and less. Through the period of our life, we have taken on so many thoughts and so many ideas and so many dilemmas and so many different difficulties. And some have passed, some linger with us, some we've forgotten. We have to learn to let go of all of them. We have to learn to let go of everything. And in that letting go, we will be able to find truth. All of the things that hinder us from a direct connection to truth are the veils that we talk about that must be removed from us in order to begin to understand reality. Reality doesn't appear and disappear. It's always there. Yet we have moments of clarity when reality seems closer to us. What goes on in those moments of clarity when things seem clearer to us? What goes on is we have lost the attachment to the torpor that illusion causes within us. And we have lost the attachment to the desire that we have as to things. And we've lost attachment to what the mind continues to bring up, which is other than God. The mind is elemental. The mind is not capable of understanding our Lord. The mind is from form, and it doesn't understand the formless. And if we are to understand the formless, we must give up using the mind to try and interpret what it is we're trying to understand. This school that we're in is not a school for the mind. It's a school for the heart. When a man crosses the desert, his great difficulty is that he doesn't have any water. And if he continues to cross the desert without water, eventually he will die. Now, a heart without compassion is a man crossing the desert without water. The heart can't find truth. The heart can't find reality unless you develop compassion in the heart. And how do you develop compassion in the heart? You use your love to engage with others. Never tell anyone, never say to anyone, you have nothing to give, because you always have love to give. You can always talk to a person and give them comfort. You can always bring joy into their being through a smile. The prophet said in a hadith that a smile is charity. And why is that? Because it conveys a sense of warmth from one to the other. It conveys a sense of positive thought from one to another. And this is what we have to take on. We have to take on being positive, becoming positive, and bringing positivity into every situation. As we become true believers, we'll be able to see that our actions have changed, that our interaction with others has changed from an interaction of not caring or not being interested. We go to a place where we are constantly interested in whatever it is that's brought before us. There are stories that people tell of Bawa when they were in his presence, where they felt as if he disappeared into them, that he overtook their own body and he became them during the time they were encountering each other. So not only was he able to answer their questions, but he was able to answer their questions understanding the reason that the question arose. So very often, not only did he answer the question they asked, he answered the questions they should have asked, because he knew them better than themselves, because he was able to disappear within them. We have a choice. We can either be humble and small, or we can become big. Now, Allah is capable of forgiving us. Why is Allah capable of forgiving us? Because Allah is the most humble being there is. And because of his humility, he can forgive us. People without humility cannot forgive. So we have to learn to become small. As we become small, all of the great things can enter us. All of the things that belong to Allah can enter us. All of the treasures of Allah's realm can enter into us when we are small. Justice, righteousness, compassion, mercy can all enter into us. But if we become big, if we become large, then these things won't be able to enter into us, because we have created blocks for them. And the entire history of the world consists of these blocks. Think about man's history on Earth, and what is the common consistency that you find in looking back through this history? War. War is constantly going on throughout humanity. In different parts of the world, there's always a different war going on. These wars never seem to stop. And why do these wars occur? These wars occur because of lust, because of women, because of titles, because of kingdoms, because of need for real estate, because of one being superior over the other, because of religious differences, because of any kinds of differences. Man's history can be traced through wars. But are these wars really what's going on? They are a reflection of what's going on within mankind themselves. And so man is at war internally, and then that war becomes external. Man needs to understand that there is a war that goes on internally, and we have to keep it there. We can't bring it out into the world and let it erupt and create chaos among ourselves and others. It must be kept within us, and that fight must go on inside of ourselves. And the cure to that fight, what will end that fight, is to somehow bring love and compassion into our hearts. And when that love and compassion enters into our hearts, then the other qualities can't exist. The satanic qualities cannot exist within love. The satanic qualities cannot exist within compassion. They need a different medium in order to exist in. And that medium that they need is hate or anger or enmity or disdain. But love will destroy the qualities that are not appropriate within us. So we, each of us, have to somehow concentrate on love. We have to be cognizant of love. We have to understand love, and we have to understand what love does. There is this constant analysis that we have to do over ourselves. Are we in the daylight or are we in the darkness? have we entered into the place where we are free of torpor, or are we in the place where we are subject to torpor? Have we entered into the realm where we are imbibing God's qualities, or are we in the place where we are rejecting God's qualities because we are too busy with the world and trying to consume the world? There are these frogs that in Sri Lanka that are trying constantly to eat each other, but they're the kinds of frogs that can expand. So when they try to eat each other, one frog keeps opening its mouth wider and wider to open the other one, to swallow the other one, and the other frog keeps expanding and expanding and expanding, getting bigger and bigger to try and stop from being swallowed. And eventually they both die. We can't swallow the world. Animals try and swallow these same frogs. And what they find is that if they take these frogs and try to swallow them in a quick manner, they expand within the frog and the frog chokes to death. The animal chokes to death just trying to eat the frog because they can't do it quickly. In the same way, when we deal with the world, we have to let go of it little by little by little. But we have to let go of it. We cannot assume that we can end this addiction in a day. It's like the man who is addicted to liquor, who stops drinking. And then after a while, he says, well, we can put some on the table for guests. And then he says, well, I can take a smell. And then he says, I can take just one drink, and then just 2 drinks. And soon he's besotted as he was before he stopped drinking. We are all addicted to the world, and we have to give up this addiction. And this addiction isn't going to go away in a day. Now, it may, God can do anything, but we have to slowly do away from all of our addictions in the world. We have to give up our addiction to torpor, our addiction to lust, our addiction to miserliness, our addiction to anger, our addiction to all of the qualities that keep us from truth. We have to give them up. If we're going to find God, we have to give up what's not God. We can't go to God with what's not God. We can't go to God with anger. We can't go to God with torpor. We can't go to God with enmity. We can't go to God with hastiness. We have to go to God with his own qualities. We have to go to him with his sound. We have to go to him with his actions. We have to go to him with his demeanor. We have to go to him in his own way. All that is acceptable to him is his qualities, his names, and his 3,000 gracious qualities. So we're given this life to learn that. And that is the purpose of our existence. But we have discovered or made up so many other purposes for our existence. Our purpose is to become a doctor. Our purpose is to accumulate wealth. Our purpose is to have power. Our purpose is to conquer other lands. Our purpose is, and if you look at each one of these purposes, they all have to do with this world. But this world is not the entire trajectory of our existence. This world is but a part of that existence. And we have to learn what it is we need to know to go on to the next portion of our existence, what we need to know in order to enter into that space that exists when this body dissipates and this body disappears. We need to learn to live as if we were dead to the world. as if our relationship with illusion didn't exist, as if our relationship with illusion was cast aside. We need to end this relationship and end all of the qualities that come along with this relationship. And that can only be done if we concentrate on God's qualities, analyze those qualities, understand their nature, and know when we are within them and when we are without them. If we can't tell the difference, if we are in a state of love and compassion or anger and lust, we're in trouble. We have to become honest with ourselves, honest with our emotions, and honest with what we do. And then we have to be able to analyze and judge ourselves. Allah has left judgment for himself. We are not given the right to judge anyone else, but he's left us room to judge ourselves. And in order to judge ourselves, we have to be brutally honest with ourselves. If we don't have that kind of honesty, we will never escape from the torpor of illusion. We will never escape from the grip that all of these emotions hold on us. It can only be done through being honest with ourselves. Everything is from inside of us. Everything is within us. And we must walk this earth with compassion, with love, with tenderness, and with kindness. As we do that, vistas will open up for us that were never imagined. The rocky mountain that sits in front of us that looks like it can't be crossed will split open, and a straight path will be made for us to the truth. And it depends on our effort. It depends on our willpower. It depends on our patience. It depends on our ability not to be disturbed when we don't see results. Things happen in God's time, not in our time. And we must allow God to do for us what he has said he will do for us. And what he has said he will do for us is that he will be merciful towards us. So create situations to allow his mercy to enter us. Create situations to allow his compassion to enter us. Be open to truth. Be open to love. Be open to others. Be an aid in this world to mankind. Be an aid to humanity. And as you are an aid to humanity, Allah will be an aid unto you. As you give, so shall ye receive. It is incumbent on each of us to find that truth. It is incumbent on each of us to understand Allah's nature and Allah's qualities. And it is incumbent on each of us to become exemplars of those qualities. And that's why the sheikhs were sent into the world. They are manifest examples of God's qualities in human form so that we can see what it is and imitate what it is. Those who are consistently kind, those who treat everyone the same, those who take on all comers, those who give to everyone, those who don't hold differences, those who don't hold separations. We must understand their nature. We must become like their nature. And as that happens to us, we will become amongst those who are the true believers and who are known as Insan Kamil, the ones who truly represent God on earth. God meant man to be his vice regent on earth. And the only way he can do that is to take on God's qualities and enter into the state of man, God, God, man, where man carries God's qualities. So our prayer is that each and every one of God's qualities grow within us, so that we grow closer to our Creator, that we come to know our Creator, that we are brought to that place of nearness with our Creator, so that we can move easily from this world into the next world and find a place close to the one who made us, close to the truth of existence, that we can merge with that. May it be so for each and every one of us. Ameen. Ameen. Ya Rabbil Alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.